Hi, it's Kevin Lobates here, the CTO of Artima, and what I want to talk about today is recourse. It's the elephant in the room that you won't see most people in blockchain talking about, because it's kind of anathema to the original idea behind blockchain. When Nakamoto first published their Bitcoin paper, there's a paragraph in there specifically talking about how Bitcoin is meant to be cash-like, and that is that transactions are irreversible. When you give somebody a £10 or a €50 note and they walk away from you, it's gone. The effort required to get it back is quite substantial. You'll have to convince them legally, and you have to know who it is that you've given the banknote to. On a blockchain such as Bitcoin, we have pseudonymity, so it's very, very hard to find out who it was that you actually transacted with. But in the financial world, we expect recourse. We expect the ability for transactions to be reversed, and it's made clear in regulations and in law who has to foot the final bill for such a recourse. For example, in credit cards, you have the chargeback, which is where somebody who's spent money using a credit card can later say, actually, I didn't want that transaction. This may be provided under consumer protection laws. For example, in Europe, you have 14 days to change your mind if you've made an online purchase with a credit card. And typically there, the merchant has to suck up the resulting bill or loss. But it varies from institution to institution and regulation to regulation. Sometimes it's the merchant of record or the bank. Sometimes it's the consumer who has to cover at least some of the costs. So it varies. But the issue is that with credit cards, it's possible to reverse a transaction. On a blockchain, the way they are currently designed, that can be a bit tricky. And one of the topics that I cover in my upcoming book, Smart Contract Innovation, is the question of recourse. In fact, there's a chapter on regulation and how banking legislation works in a very high-level view, because nobody wants to really dig into that too much in depth unless they happen to be lawyers specializing in banking law. And then the next chapter is on recourse. And just to give you an idea of the significance of this, there was a MasterCard report that came out last year, which observed that the number of recourse requests that were arriving was in the region of 80,000 or 70,000 a day. So can you imagine trying to deal with that on a blockchain such as Bitcoin? There just wouldn't be enough transactions to handle the recourse requests, let alone then to conduct normal transactions. And Ethereum at its surface faces a similar problem. However, on Ethereum we do have the advantage that through smart contracts you can kind of write your own protocol level on top of the existing blockchain protocol system, and that therefore gives all sorts of opportunities for recourse if you just think about it. And that chapter looks into a number of ways that recourse could be implemented on blockchains. I think I cover pretty much all of the major approaches that are possible, and in particular I deal with how to handle tens of thousands of recourse requests a day through smart contract systems. And just to make it clear, yes, stablecoins do contain functionality for freezing an account and burning the coins in that account and then reminting them to another account, which would allow you to implement some kind of recourse. But the problem with this is it's a real sledgehammer approach. Typically, it requires several people to sign off on each individual freeze action, and those tend to be the chief compliance officer and the chief financial officer in a company. You can't have them assessing and signing 80,000 a day now, can you? So there needs to be a better system. And in the chapter on recourse, you'll see one that I have put forward. So that's today's video on recourse. I hope you found it interesting, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Bye for now.